You know that feeling when you know a habit is good for you and you still want nothing to do with it, and your brain instantly goes, absolutely not. I used to think that that meant it was just I didn't have enough discipline, that the problem was me. But here's what I've learned after 6 years of going to the gym, 40 pounds down with the nutrition to go with it. The habits actually aren't the bad part. The hard part is getting your brain to stop fighting you on these things. So, let's walk through the 7 I swore I'd hate, starting with the one I probably resisted the hardest, which is early bedtimes. Why was I so resistant to going to bed early? Honestly, it felt like loss. Like going to bed early and at a reasonable hour meant giving up the only part of my day that was actually, well, mine. The quiet, the peace, the 2 hours after everyone's asleep where nobody needs a thing for me. And I treated that like something that was being taken from me. Now, here's where it gets interesting though. What I actually was experiencing, that resistance, that defensiveness, that's actually loss aversion. And it's not that the habit itself is miserable, is that your brain pre wrote that the review before you ever even lived it. Your brain sees early bedtime and it reads it as losing your freedom. So it fights you. And that's not a personality flaw. That's just how your brain protects you from something that's new. The reality, though, is that when I finally gave it a real shot, I actually found out I wasn't losing those quiet hours at all. I was just moving them. Nobody tells you that the morning can have the same kind of peace if you're willing to meet it there. And yes, learning to wake up earlier can be a learning curve. And the forcing yourself also has a learning curve, but I promise you that it does get easier with practice. And now my mornings have become some of my favorite. And I also really love my wind down nighttime routine. And sleeping better just makes me a better mom and a better human. So even though sometimes I want to hit the snooze button, which does sometimes happen, it's definitely made my life so much better. And that one really truly took me years to unlearn. But the next one, it's the one that everyone thinks sounds miserable. And I used to think it sounded miserable too. Eating the same foods every day, I remember hearing people say that and thinking to myself, how freaking boring. How do you not get sick of eating the same foods every single day? I thought that the variety of food was kind of the point, and I genuinely believed that I would hate it. So here's what actually happened to me though. When I stopped trying to reinvent my meals at every single meal, I actually removed a whole pile of decisions that I didn't even realize were exhausting me. I wasn't eating the same thing because I was bored. I was eating the same thing because it's finally what helped me to stop deciding so much. And deciding, it turns out, was actually the thing wearing me out. There's a reason for that, though. It's called decision fatigue. And decision fatigue is so real. Every single choice we make throughout our day uses up a little bit of our willpower. And so by the time dinner rolls around, your brain is done with choosing. And when you simplify the food, you actually free up that brain power for literally everything else. I know boring does not sound like a feature, but boring was actually the thing that finally made it sustainable for me. I now mostly use the same base meals like protein powder, cereal, fruit, and Greek yogurt, but I change out the protein flavor, I change out the fruit and the cereal anytime I start to get bored. And it has helped me stay so much more consistent because I actually consistently know how much I'm eating and that I'm meeting my macros. Now, not all of these are all about boring stuff. Okay. The next one is actually kind of the exact opposite. And it took me quite a while to stop avoiding. I used to be afraid of getting too sweaty and not the like, I don't want to be gross way. I mean, like, genuinely afraid of it. Afraid of my heart rate getting too high, afraid of that feeling when you're working hard and your body just starts to pound and something in me would go, panic, stop, this isn't safe. You need to stop what you are doing. Now, here's the thing, and it took me years to figure out that fear wasn't actually my body telling me something was wrong. That was my body reading an anxiety signal and the anxiety kicking in, reading something that was actually totally normal and safe, but interpreting it as dangerous. And my body was actually fine. It was actually my brain that was sounding the alarm. And the thing that changed for me really was learning about my body. And for me, that looked like tracking my heart rate and my workouts on my Whoop strap. It really helped me to see what my heart rate looked like in a given workout and to see what I was capable of versus what I was actually doing. Not necessarily just to push harder, but just to see, to watch what was actually happening to me and realize, oh, that's normal. This is safe. And I'm way more capable than I actually thought that I was. So now I don't run from it anymore. And I also don't force myself into it. I found what works for best for me is balance. Always showing up for myself, always putting in the work, regardless of the sweat count, doesn't mean the workout didn't count as long as I'm working hard. But the goal was never to get as sweaty as possible. The goal was to stop being scared of what my own body was doing when it was doing its job. And I used to be scared of it. But honestly, I was even more scared of getting up early to work out. And that is habit number 4 because I was actually convinced for many years I was not a morning person. I'd read and watched all the wake up at 5 a.m. and change your life stuff. And when I saw that, I'd be thinking, good for you, sis. I'll be over here in my bed. And look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I woke up one day and decided like 5 and 5:30 a.m. was like the ideal time for me. That's not what happened at all. What happened is that I figured out that the morning was really the only time where nobody else could really interrupt me. The only time that the workout was actually mine. And once I saw it that way, it stopped being a sacrifice and starting to be the thing that I kind of controlled about my day. Here's what I learned about that resistance. I wasn't not a morning person. I was a person who never had a reason to protect the morning. When I gave it one, my brain changed its mind about what the mornings meant. It took consistency, not discipline, though. Those are very different things. And I think a lot of times we mix them up. I do think you need to be a workout person, though, before you can become a morning workout person, if at all possible, because I feel like those are two different habits and skills to build. So if you aren't already naturally a morning person by nature, you should build the wake up early habit first or the workout habit first before you try to combine them. Now, the next one is the one that surprised me the most because I had my whole identity wrapped in thinking that this wasn't me, and it's lifting weights. I'm going to be honest with you. I never really saw a time where I thought I would be like a lifting weights person. I had already sort of convinced myself I was a dance person, I was a cardio person, something that felt less, I don't know, heavy, scary, intimidating. And I had basically written off strength training all but completely. And this is the one where I think I was the most wrong because lifting weights has actually turned out to be the thing that made everything else possible. It's made me stronger in a way that changed how I move in my actual life. And it's actually completely rewired what I thought about my body and how it works and even what it could look like. And the one thing I want to be real about with you is this because I think it really, really matters. The workout builds and maintains the shape, but nutrition is the actual thing that builds it. And so the results are going to be very based on where your nutrition is. And that's not me making a caveat, that's just how the math works on it. So you use the workout to build the strength, but your nutrition is what keeps it. And so when you hear me say lifting changed my body, it's lifting plus the food. And I don't want you to be comparing your outcomes to mine without having that piece in place. Okay, so 2 habits left. And this next one is the one people always assume means that you're lonely or sad, which is working out alone. I used to think that working out alone would be boring and that I'd need a class, a friend, somebody to hold me accountable. And I really did think that I would hate the solitude of it and the silence. But honestly, working out alone has become one of my very favorite things to do. Not because I don't like people, I actually really like people. And I also still really enjoy a good workout class. It's a lot of fun when I go and do Zumba at the Y. But because being alone with your own thoughts gives you the opportunity to show yourself where your effort really lies. Because there's nobody there to like force you to do it. It shows you what you're made of. And for me, it's the time where I go and I talk to God and I really like reflect on things. There's no one to keep up with. It's just you and the work. And there's just something like super honest about that for me. And I think that's the version of me that this has changed the most because I stopped needing someone else in the room. I stopped needing permission to get started. And that was really huge for me. I was the only one who could give myself that permission. And I didn't even know that I was waiting for it. And the last one, the one I'm sure I thought would be the most tedious and boring thing that I'd ever done, macros tracking. Now, don't leave yet. Don't stay here for a second. Stay with me. Tracking your macros. Listen, truly, if you had told me 10 years ago that I would be weighing and tracking my food, I probably would have laughed in your face because I thought it was obsessive. I thought it was for people who had way more time and patience and had way more fitness goals than I did. And I was absolutely certain that I would hate it. But here's what I actually found out, okay? Tracking for a season wasn't actually as tedious as I thought it was. And part of the reason I eat the same foods, it was actually really educational. And it taught me what I was putting in my body and actually eating, not what I just thought I was eating. And there's a huge difference there. It gave me data instead of guesswork. And for someone who'd been guessing wrong for so many years, it was actually truly a gift. Now, I want to be really careful here because I'm not trying to say that you need to do this habit forever. People can have a tendency to take this too far. Tracking is a tool, it's part of your lifestyle, it's not the entire lifestyle. So I don't want you to think that I do this every single day. I mostly do it now when I'm in a deficit or I have specific body goals. But learning it once and doing it every so often to kind of check up on things. And that changed my relationship with food permanently. And I bring this up because this one, maybe more than the others, is the one where your brain is going to resist you the hardest. And it's also the one where the payoff can be a little more quiet. Because listen, nobody is going to clap for you for tracking your food. And there are plenty of people on the internet and in your life who are going to criticize you for tracking your food in real life and online. But it does work. And that's really the whole point of this list. How many of these have you already written off for the exact same reason that I did? Because here's what I want you to take from this. It's not that these habits are secretly like the only thing that you need or that you're wrong to resist them. It's that your resistance was never actually about the habit itself. It was about your brain protecting you from something new. And once you can name that, once you can see it, you can stop fighting yourself and you can finally decide to try. And if this video made you see your own resistance a little differently, I want to send you to this video here that digs into the exact same thing. The one layer deeper. It's called The Real Reason Women Skip 7 Exercises That Actually Work. Before you go, make sure you drop a comment and let me know which habits on the list have you been writing off and what you plan to do about it now. And I will see you in the next time. Bye, friends.